Welcome back to Unit 6. Today, Ms. Yang's going to be talking to you about slope. So let's go ahead and get started with that right now.
Today we will be continuing our functions unit by learning about slope. So let's define what slope is. What is slope? So slope measures how steep a line is. So how quickly is the line increasing or how quickly is the line decreasing. And it also indicates whether a line is positive or negative. We can describe slope in 4 ways. The first way is a positive slope. So when I'm looking at this line from left to right, the slope of this line is positive because this line is going upwards. The second way is a negative slope. So again, when I'm looking at the line from left to right, it's going downwards, so it's a negative slope. A third way to describe a slope is 0. So when I'm looking at the line from left to right, it is a constant horizontal line, so it has a slope of 0. And the last way to describe slope is no slope. So no slope would be a straight vertical line up and down, so it has no slope. Earlier in our definition of slope, we said that the slope measures how steep the line is. It is also known as rate of change. Now the rate of change tells you how fast or slow the line moves across the y-axis compared to how fast or slow the line moves across the x-axis. And we can describe the rate of change or the steepness by using a formula: slope equals rise over run. The rise is how much the line moves up or down on a graph, and the run tells you how much the line moves from left to right on a graph. To determine the slope when I'm given a graph, I need 2 nice points. And what I mean by nice points is I need to know the exact order pair of those points. So I see that this line is crossing the y-axis at -4 nicely. So I know that the order pair for that would be -4, 0. And another nice point is at 1, -1. Now that I have the 2 points, I need to determine how I'm going to get from one point to the other by using the slope formula, rise over run. So I'm going to pick a point, and it could be any of these two. So I'm going to start with this bottom one right here, and I need to determine how I'm going to get from that point to the second point. So in order to do that, I need to rise 3, and I have to run 1. So the slope of this line is m, where m is equal to slope, is 3 over 1. So let's try this again. I need 2 nice points, so I see that this line is crossing the y-axis at -3, 0, and another point at 5, -1. Now I have to determine how I'm going to get from this first point to the second point by using the formula rise over run. So I need to rise 2, and I need to run 5. So my slope for this line is m equals 2 over 5. So notice how the first 2 graphs we had a positive number as our slope. The first one we had a positive 3 over 1, and the second slope was a positive 2 over 5. Now remember in our previous slides where we talked about the 4 different ways to describe slope, we had a positive slope because the line was moving upwards when we're looking at it from left to right. Same for the second one. We know that this one would have a positive slope because this line is moving upwards. So that means that this third one, we are going to get a negative slope because this line is going downwards. So let's see if we do get a negative slope. So I see my first point at 0, 0, and I see my second point at 2, -3. So again, using my slope formula, I need to go from this point to this point. So I need to rise 3, and I have to run 2. But see how I had to run to the left? And because I'm moving towards the negative side of my number line, this would be a -2. So that means my slope for this line is -3 over 2. Here we have some more examples of finding slope when you're given the line. So I want you to pause the video now and try these on your own. When you're ready, hit play to see if you were correct. How did you do? I hope you got all 3 of these correct. If you did not, please pause the video again and check the answers with mine or ask your teacher for help. We can also find the slope if we know 2 ordered pairs on the line, and we use this formula. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So these next 2 examples, we need to find the slope of the line that passes through the 2 given points. For example A, I need to assign my x1, y1, and x2 and y2 values. So for x1, I'm going to assign 2, and I'm going to assign 8 to my y1, and I'm going to say 5 is my x2 value, and 17 is my y2 value. Now that I've assigned each number to a variable, I'm going to substitute into my formula. So my formula is m is equal to y2 minus y1, so that means it would be 17 minus 8 over x2 minus x1, so 5 minus 2. Now that I've substituted, I'm just going to solve for m. So when I subtract 8 from 17, I get 9, and when I subtract 2 from 5, I get 3. And 9/3 can be simplified because both numbers are divisible by 3, so it's going to equal 3 over 1. So the slope of the line when I'm given these 2 points is m equals 3 over 1. So let's try this next example, example B. Again, I need to assign my x1 and y1 values, so I will say -1 is my x1 value, 7 is my y1, 3 will be my x2 value, and 5 will be my y2 value. Now that I've assigned those numbers to a variable, I'm going to substitute it into the formula. So I have formula y2 minus y1, so 5 minus 7, over x2 minus x1, so 3 minus -1. So now that I substituted the values into my formula, I'm going to solve for m. So when I subtract 7 from 5, I get -2. And when I subtract -1 from 3, I get a +4. Again, -2/4 can be simplified because both those numbers are divisible by 2. So I'll get the final answer of slope m equals -1 over 2. These next 4 problems are solved exactly the same way as we solved the previous 2 examples. So I want you to pause the video now and try these 4 on your own. If you need help, remember to ask your teacher for help. When you are ready to check your answers, play the video. How did you do? If you got different answers than me, pause the video now and check over your work. These last 2 problems are challenge problems, so let's try the first one together and you can work on the second one on your own. So the directions say to draw a line that passes through the point -5, -4, and has a slope of 1/2. Since I know that my line is going to pass through the point at -5, -4, I'm going to plot that point on the graph. So from here, I don't know what my line is going to look like and in which direction it's going to go because I only have 1 point. So this is where slope comes into play. So the slope is 1/2. And remember that the formula for slope was rise over run. So I know that the slope of this line has to rise up 1 and run 2. So starting at the point -5, -4, I need to rise 1 and run 2. So here is my second point. And I continue to do this until I have enough points so that I know exactly what my line is going to look like. Again, from that second point, we're going to rise 1 and run 2. So there's my third point. And from here, again, rise 1, run 2, rise 1, run 2. And here are my 2 points. 2 more points. Now that I have enough points on the graph, I can connect them using a straight edge or ruler. And this is what a line that passes through the point -5, -4 and has a slope of 1/2 looks like. So try the next one on your own. So pause the video now, and when you are ready, click play. How did you do? So for this example, you need to remember our definition for a y-intercept. So remember, the y-intercept is where your line crosses the y-axis. And since our y-intercept for this example was 5, I knew that I needed to have a point at 5. And starting from there, we follow our slope, which is -3. So that's the same as saying it's -3 over 1. So my slope, I need to go down 3, run 1. There's my first point. Down 3 again, run 1. Down 3, and run 1. Congratulations on making it to the end of the notes.
Thank you for watching this video on functions. If you like this video, go ahead and throw us a thumbs up. If you love this video, go ahead and throw us a sub, and we will catch you in the next one.